Katie Anthony, and I wanted to talk to you. I get phone calls all the time asking, what do I need to get my real estate license in Missouri? And I go through what you need to do. You need to take two courses totaling 72 hours. You need to pass the real estate exam. You need to have a background check. You need to find a broker, apply for your license, etc. But one thing that we never really talk about is what's in the course. And, people come into the real estate course not knowing anything in most cases about what they're going to be learning. And there may be some preconceived notions about what you'll be learning. So I want to take a few minutes and go over what you should expect when you take a real estate class. And this is no matter where you take it, because the Real Estate Commission requires certain topics to be on the exam in the Missouri portion of the exam, and then there are also the national questions on the exam as well. And all the schools have the same criteria. So what you need to know is that we're teaching you to pass the test. So we're giving you information that you need to know to pass the exam. And I've said before that some agents or brokers might say, well, yeah, just forget whatever you learned in your class, and because you're not going to ever do that in real estate. That's not true. The reason that those things are important in the real estate exam and the real estate pre-exam course, the reason that those are important is that you need to know these things so that you don't lose your license. I'll just put it down to that. So in the real estate pre-exam course, there are actually certain items that are on an outline that you'll get in our school anyway. You'll get an outline, candidate handbook outline. This is from the PSI Testing Center. It's 3 pages. 2 of them are for the national portion and 1 is for the state portion. And it tells you everything you need to know for passing the exam. We talk about property ownership. Start off with that, typically the first try, the first night, first day, whichever one you're taking. And we talk about with the definitions of real estate, personal property, how we transfer it, how we transfer real property. We talk about liens, so those things that have a burden on a title, things that might restrict someone from selling a home. We talk about the importance of a clear title on a property, a real estate property. And then we talk about land use controls and regulations, so those are the government regulations in real estate. We talk about appraisal and how homes are appraised and the procedure that appraisers have depending on the type of property. If it's a residential home or a special property, special purpose property, or if we're just looking at an income producing property, there's different ways that appraisers look at property and determine what the value is. We talk a lot about lending, lots and lots and lots about lending. And a lot of people think, well, what do we have to know about lending? Why do we have to know about lending? What's the purpose? The purpose is you're going to be working very closely with a lender when you have a buyer for a property. And you need to be sure that your buyer will be approved. And if not, you'll need to get through those steps in the contract, whether the buyer has to put more money down, they have to back out of the deal, if it's an appraisal issue. So those are all things that you need to know. And there are a lot of government regulations regarding financing. So it is not just the lenders that need to know what those government regulations are. It's also the real estate agents, because we have to work closely. We're the liaison between the lender and the borrower, the buyer. The next thing we talk about is the general principles of agency, and that might just sound like, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's all agency. That is how we represent buyers and sellers. And That's a very important part of the course. I always say that that's the section where um, we have to be honest, we have to be fair, we have to be confidential, disclose material facts. So you'll learn what has to be disclosed. You'll learn about advertising, the way that you need to advertise, not necessarily best practice, but required practice of advertising. There are certain things that are required in both national and in state. We'll talk about property disclosures. So, property disclosures vary from sellers noting what is a defect in a property. It could be lead-based paint issues, asbestos, and that just kind of goes. It's a huge section as well. Next is contracts. So contracts, you'll be surprised how much you need to know about contracts. Contracts themselves um, play the largest part of the real estate exam. There's 17 questions on the real estate exam, and that cover contracts. Excuse me. 17 questions cover contracts, biggest part of the test. So it's all about different types of contracts, when you're under contract, what is a contract, what's not a contract. So that's a very important part of the course as well. And then we talk about leasing and property management. A few questions about that. Transfer of title. I mentioned that a little bit before, just about how we transfer real estate, the different types of title, different types of deeds. And then we talk about escrow. Escrow, we go to closing. We're in escrow. We have the closing company holds money. So we'll talk a lot about that and a lot about the closing process and also closing statements, which will also encompass some of the math. So what buyers and sellers owe at closing. We'll talk about the practice of real estate. A lot of this is on fair housing. There are protected classes that the federal government has, and also the state of Missouri has. And we, as real estate agents, are the gatekeepers for fair housing. So it is imperative that you know what it is to discriminate in housing and what the rules and regulations are. So that is one thing that we do talk about. We talk about trust accounts, holding money that belongs to others, advertising and technology, antitrust laws. That's a big thing in the news right now. Antitrust is all about playing a level playing field. It's all about a level playing field in this business. All businesses, anyone can be in a business, but we don't want to have one try to put another out of business with either bad mouthing or conspiring to lower rates so that people won't go to that company. And we really talk a lot more about that in the course. And then next is real estate calculations. That's going to be, people get scared about real estate calculations because all of a sudden they think, oh my gosh, every time I came home from school in junior high, I spent 2 hours crying over math. And I say people say that, it was me. My mom could not understand why I was so whatever. I mean, I was just not a math person. And it took until the time when I taught this course. It's just formulas. That's all it is. It's formulas. If you memorize a formula, you're going to know how to do it. You know how to read the question. You know how to do the math. So it is nothing to worry about. And a lot of people, and I would say most people walk out. I didn't get 10 math questions. Yes, you did. You got 10 math questions because that's the requirement. You have to get 10 math questions. The issue is, did you get 10 calculations? Possibly not. A math question could be something where you just look at the question and it's logical that the answer is going to be this because you can derive that from the question. So we help you through all of those sections and then also state. The state of Missouri has certain requirements as well. So once you leave Real Estate School of the Ozarks, you will be well equipped to take the exam and to pass. And so that's just in a nutshell what we do and what you're going to learn in your class. And I hope it helped you understand what students go through with the real estate exam and the course itself. Of course, we delve more into that in course because it's a 48-hour course, so you're in class 6 days or 2 weeks if you do it at night. So if you have any questions, shoot me a text at that number, katieanthonyres@gmail.com, or leave a comment here. Thank you so much.